Well, Pakistan's Balochistan province has a brand spanking new airport financed by China to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars. But there is just one problem. It's got no planes and no passengers.
Next flight for Gwadar departing sometime? Pakistan's newest airport has a terminal, a runway, a $380 million price tag, but no flights. Completed in October after a decade of Chinese investment in the region, the airport is a key piece in the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, or CPEC, connecting China to the Middle East.
The port has been around for 20 years and now the international airport has been constructed, but not one person from Gwadar has been employed there, not even as a watchman. Forget the other jobs. How many Baloch people are at this port that was built for CPEC? How many of these people are natives?
China hasn't just built an airport in Balochistan. The resource-rich and strategically located province has seen a flurry of development, but remains underserviced, alienating many residents who see the ghost airport as an emblem of unkept promises.
The developmental projects here have not benefited anyone. People haven't gotten jobs, the airport is non-functional, there is a port but there's no work there. If there is no work, how will people get jobs?
Pakistani military and intelligence have also stepped up activity in the region to combat dissent, including a separatist insurgency.
Nobody used to ask where we're going, what we're doing, and what is your name. We are residents. Those who ask should identify themselves as to who they are.
An airport without flights, but plenty of baggage. Angus McIntosh, ABC News.
And Adnan Amir is a Pakistan-based reporter for Nikkei Asia. He explains why China invested hundreds of millions in that project.
Yeah, thanks for having me on your show. So this new Gwadar International Airport, the original project, the original MOU for this was signed in 2015. And the basic idea was that the Gwadar port town in Pakistan, which is like the center stage of Belt and Road projects in Pakistan, the idea was that this will grow into a major economic and commercial hub. It would become the future Dubai or Singapore, if you will. And in order to address the demand of a lot of air travel, this airport was established. So it is Pakistan's largest airport in terms of area, and it was built with a Chinese grant of $230 million. So that was basically idea behind it. So because the idea was that the CPEC, the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor project, will kick off, which unfortunately it has not.
Yeah, so why is that the case, though? I mean, it hasn't kicked off. It looks like it's fully built and there are hardly any planes or passengers. So people are asking what's going on here.
Yeah, so basically the first thing is that the government of Pakistan and China, both of them oversold CPEC. So the potential benefits that could have come from here were oversold, they were exaggerated. So that's number one thing, that's why the things are not happening. Secondly, because of internal governance problems of Pakistan, the way the things operate has also exacerbated the situation. For instance, Gwadar, the port town, it still does not have a proper supply of electricity or proper drinking water. Still, the Gwadar is powered by the electricity supplied by the government of Iran. And Iran shuts down the electricity whenever there's a problem, whenever there's a border tension or whenever there's a shortage of electricity in Iran. So because of issues like this, the port failed to kick off, and not to mention the security issues. The Baloch separatists, they believe that China is a colonial power and China is here in Balochistan to exploit their resources. So that's why they also attack Chinese interest and anything that is associated with China. So those attacks by the Baloch separatist militants have also failed this project.
Yes, of course. And on that note, more than 100 Chinese nationals have been killed in recent years because of these projects. Do you expect these attacks to continue in Balochistan?
Yeah, so the Baloch militants, they repeatedly warn China and they say as long as China is here, the attacks will continue. And so far, the government has failed to protect them. And the government, the problem is that the installations where Chinese are based, for example, the Gwadar port in Gwadar, those are secure, those are safe, the insurgents cannot attack them. But whenever they travel from point A to point B, this is where they are more vulnerable and this is where they have been attacked. And I think the attacks will continue because the security situation in Balochistan itself is not very satisfactory, and it is deteriorating with the passage of time.
Yes, but does one expect China to just simply, let go of this project?
Yeah, so China is not letting go of the project. China is frustrated, and China is demanding Pakistan that Pakistan allow Chinese security personnel to come to Pakistan and protect Chinese nationals. Pakistan has so far resisted that idea because Pakistan believes that when there are Chinese security guards in Pakistan, that will further exacerbate the situation, and they will be the new targets for Baloch insurgents and for other militants. So China is putting pressure on Pakistan to provide more security and allow its personnel to come into Pakistan, and Pakistan is resisting it. But the frustration level of China is increasing with every passing day, and so the risk level of the risk appetite of Beijing is very high. So they can tolerate even more attacks, but they are very frustrated, to say the least.
Does China believe that this airport will become beneficial in some way to their Belt and Road Initiative and the CPEC deal with Pakistan?
Yeah, that's the idea behind it, and that's the hope, because the old airport of Gwadar, it was very small and large airplanes could not land here. So now the idea was that this large airport will be used to host flights directly coming from China. And so China believes whenever this Gwadar kicks off, which we don't know when, then this airport will be used to bring in people from China and fly from there. And also, this can also be used for cargo movement from Gwadar to China. But there are also some claims that this airport might be used for military purposes. Now, these claims are put forward by some Western media outlets, and both China and Pakistani government, they deny it. But nevertheless, there is this fear also that this large airport, which has no commercial utility, might end up being used as a military installation, as a military airport.
And would this not, I suppose, raise alarm bells, particularly for India?
Yeah, so India has opposed CPEC on multiple grounds. But the thing is that this is more an internal problem for Pakistan, and even for Pakistan's own case, they don't want Chinese military presence in Balochistan, in Pakistan, and they are doing their best to avoid it. But again, the Pakistan is indebted to China, and Pakistan owes a lot of money to China. So ultimately, China can put pressure on Pakistan to achieve this end.
Of course, this airport is new, but there's also a seaport that's been there for quite some time. Has this been of benefit to the local population in Gwadar and in Balochistan in general?
No, it has not been. And there have been several protests in Gwadar against this thing, that because the Gwadar is a port city, the Chinese have invested there, and it has the city has suddenly gained international attention. But the local people, their living standards have not been improved, and they have even faced more problem because of increased security situations. So another reason for failure of the Gwadar is also that the local people are not on board, they are not reaping the benefits, and that also fuels the narrative that the Gwadar is not a useful project for the locals.
Okay, Adnan Amir, really appreciate your insights into this story. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.